Because he's real. I mean, he's evident in this world. He created this world. He created me. Even though he knew I was a sinner at birth, I mean, he allowed me to live on this earth. I mean, why not believe in him?
I was raised to believe in God, and as I got older, I realized I had to know him for myself, and really believe for myself. So as I've gotten older, he has shown himself to me. So yeah, that's
It's some people always think of like, okay, I need a fact or something tangible, but for me personally, it's because I know the person I was before God even entered my life. He's always been there. It's crazy, but actually me realizing that he's in me and part of my life.
I believe in God because I wouldn't be able to make sense of the world, of words, of anything without him. So that's why I believe.
As an adult, you have to formulate your own opinion. And there are things that I went through and situations I came out of that nobody else could have got me out of but God.
I've known him basically my whole life. I was living with my aunt at a young age. She took me to church every Sunday and almost every other day of the week. I was abused at a point in my life, and I would stay up at night and I would talk to God, talk to Jesus. Jesus was my brother, the angels were my friends, and that's what I would do at nighttime. And I would, at certain times, I would pray and ask him not to allow me to get beat or whatever, and that's what he did. He protected me many a days when I knew that what I did wrong should have resulted in me getting beat.
He lives in me daily. I mean, when I wake up, the first thing I think, or I'll wake up in the middle of the night and it's like the Lord's telling me to pray. And it's like sometimes I'm lazy and I don't want to get up. And I'm like, hey, just please let me pray in the morning or whatever the deal is at that moment. But it's just like the Lord, he gives you those tips of him each day and every moment. Like even he's speaking through a song to you, or the Spirit's just guiding you in each step. I mean, why wouldn't you have the Lord in your life?
He's shown himself to me. He's real to me. He's there for me. I feel him. I feel his love. I feel his presence. I feel his support, when I'm down. But yeah, I know he exists, and I know people they want to say otherwise, but science supports him, his existence. We could not have all of this by fairy tale. I don't believe in fairy tale. I don't believe this was accident, my body, this world. So yeah, I believe that there was, a loving God that created all of this. And I think this world is just evident of it.
I know he's real because of the change he's made in me, and because he's always been there for me. He's never failed me. Even though when I think he's failed me, it's because I had the wrong impression of him. It's the change. Like it might not be visible to other people, but inside of you how you were before, or your thoughts before, or your character before, how you make decisions before.
He is the reason why. I mean, it's hard to explain. It's hard to put into words. He exists because he is, and if he didn't exist, then we wouldn't exist. Everything is wrapped up in God. So it would. If he didn't exist, then the question wouldn't even make any sense.
Because he speaks to me. There's times where I should not be here for some of the choices that I've made. I should not be here. If I can go deeper with my ex-husband, I've been held at gunpoint with him 3 times. He was abusive, and the Lord took me out of that situation. I've been in situations where I've been in wrecks where I should have slid to the left and I end up in the shoulder and stopped. I know that God is real. I know that Jesus is real.
There are many times, like I said, he saved me when I was a child, but then as an adult, he saved me as well. I shouldn't be here. I suffered an aneurysm. Most people die from them, and I didn't. The only thing that I had that as a result were frequent migraines, and he's actually healed me from that as well. So I know there's a God.
So the hardest thing for me was consequences that I put myself in. I blame the Lord. So I would be upset that, oh, the Lord did this to me, when reality is that I did it to myself. I put myself in the situations that I did, and they were my consequences. He's not punishing me.
I'd say there were times where I felt like maybe he had other people's people in mind. Like, I felt like he's forgotten me a lot of times, and I didn't understand. Like, as much as I try to live the right life for him, you know, I feel like he forsaken me a lot, and I just wouldn't understand. Like, maybe I'm doing something wrong, or I don't know what it could be, like millions of consequences just hitting me from behind. So it's like I feel like I have to catch up for I don't know. So
I think faith is something that it's something that you have, of course, if you believe in the Lord, but it's something that you struggle with as far as just going through life and the difficulties and challenges. I guess just believing, just certain things that happen in the world, and you may wonder, you may question, you know, why does this happen? Why does the Lord allow certain things to happen, certain bad things? But through His Word, you receive the comfort and the knowing that through Him, you know, everything happens for a reason, and He has everything wrapped up in His power and His control. And so faith is just something that, you know, I think I struggle with a lot.
The only discouragement I've ever had was knowing that His will was going to be done. And so I was like, so why am I praying if His will was going to be done? But then I realized my prayers should line up with His will. I shouldn't be, I can't ask God to go against Himself. I shouldn't ask Him, hey, let me get away with this because I lied or I stole or something like that. But as long as I'm praying within His will, then He has protected me and been there for me. There are times where I shouldn't have certain things, and God made sure that I had them.
Trusting Him when all things fall apart. You know, recently things have fallen apart, and I'm like, why? I don't get it. I don't understand. And I'm at that point where I have to trust Him no matter what the outcome is. Like, I don't know what my outcome is going to be at the moment. I don't know what my future is going to be. I know I've had dreams about certain things, and they've been crushed and they've fallen apart. But after all my crying and the hurt and the pain, I realize now that I have to trust the Lord and hold His hand like a child, no matter that He has my best interest at heart, no matter what the outcome is going to be. I take it a day at a time.
Growth, maturity. I mean, I have, over the last 5 years, the growth that I have went through, consistently changing and being a better person, and then just allowing myself to grow in Him and know Him closer and commune with Him, just allows me to be a better person to this world and to allow me to reach out to people.
I've seen His promises come true. You know, like, people always say, oh, He's never going to answer that or whatnot, even though things like look really bleak. But He's not a man that He would lie. He really isn't. I mean, and it's really holding to whatever promise is given to you, even though, you know, everything else seems like it's down or everybody else is different.
One of the major things is I've adopted 3 Caucasian kids. African American, Black, whatever you want to say, but that's not normal in these days and times. The Caucasians can adopt Black people, and it's called great, but you rarely see Black people adopting white people. And even when they try to make it not work, God was right there. I didn't have to do anything, and He gave me my kids.
You know, He's positively affected my life because He's made me a better person. I wouldn't be who I am without Him. He's everything to me. He's my world. He's my foundation. He's my moral compass, you know. I believe what I believe. I see the way I see because of Him. and I'm happier for it. You know, I have certainty in my life. I feel supported. I feel like he's behind me. When I worry, because I worry a lot, my dad would call me a worry ward, and I do sometimes still go there, but I don't have to worry as much because I know he's got my best interest at heart. I know that he's in my corner, and he's not going to leave me. He's there for me, and I'm going to be okay. And so I'm able to live this life without fear, without uncertainty, because I know that he has my path ordained for me.
I have a lot more perspective in just the decisions that I make. I don't have to rely on my own senses or my own reasoning. I know that when I have a question or where I need to know why I'm making a decision, I can go to the Lord. I go to the Word, and He guides me that way. So I think without that, it would be very hard, especially when hard things happen in your life, you know, struggles and difficulties that you may not understand. Without the Lord, it would be just totally difficult to deal with. So that's how.
The fact that I've been where I didn't make much money at my job, and it was me and my kids, just the three of them and me, and I've still been able to go shopping and still be fly. Like, come on, who is that? I pay my tithes and offering. I've been doing that since I was a teenager. I pay my tithes, I pay my offering. You know, I would go to church, pray the best that I could, listen to music here and there. I wasn't perfect, but the Lord took such great care of us. I wasn't on food stamps and stuff like that. Like, the Lord took care of us. I saw it was God.
It's hard to believe in things that you can't see, but there's no doubt that he exists in this world. I mean, he makes his presence known daily. It's like he created this earth, and there's no way you can scientifically prove it. There's no way you can say, oh, that's not the Lord, and that's not his work and his hand in this creation. Like, how could you not believe in such a great man? I mean, not a man, but a great God. You know, like how strong he is and how he allowed us to live on this earth even though we were weak and sinners.
You just have to be open-minded. Look and see where something should not have happened, and yet it did happen, and understand that, like, I'm not trying to be funny, the Big Bang couldn't have possibly made this happen. You know, getting rid of diseases, all of a sudden somebody calls you, you don't go a certain way, and then you find out there's a wreck on the freeway that you were going to use. There's so many different ways of him showing you that he's there. You just got to be open-minded enough to look and see him.
Keep believing, keep trusting. Whatever you're going through, it's just temporary. It's just the moment. You'll get through it. There's a light at the end of that tunnel. You're going to get out of it. And so don't focus so much onto your situation, but your future, and just remember that he's always there for you. And even if it seems like no one is, he's there, you know? So just don't give up.
I would ask that person to question their sense of truth and, you know, question what they think truth is, and if they can make any sort of reasoning around that, around their life. You know, if they didn't believe in God, if they thought everything was random, then why do you wake up in the morning? Why do you, you know, do the things that you do, make the decisions you make? And the fact that we can rely on the fact that, you know, the sun's gonna rise every day, we're gonna get up, and it's just proof that God exists. So you have to ask yourself, how do you make up for those things without God?
Just look at your life. Look at the fact that you're still alive. You're here for a reason. You're not just here just because. Especially if you've been through something where it's life or death, where you feel like, and all people go through that, where you feel like you shouldn't be alive. Simple things, car wrecks, simple things. You're still here. You're here for a reason.